Intel community releasing its annual threat assessment, warning of the growing threats facing Americans from China, Russia, North Korea, and Iran. We were just talking about this. Joining me now for more, senior fellow at the America First Policy Institute, Newsmax contributor Fred Fleitz. Fred, just quickly on North Korea, what do you make of Kim Jong Un's sister making a warning like that, that basically if the U.S. intercepts any missiles fired by North Korea will consider that an act of war? Is that serious?
I think this is just the same kind of threat we've been seeing from North Korea for some time. They fired so many missiles last year, they may be worried that we might do that. But realistically, that's not something the Biden administration is going to do.
Fred, this annual threat assessment comes out every year. Your reaction to what we just got with regard to China, Iran, Russia, and North Korea?
I thought the discussion was unremarkable. Frankly, it's nothing we haven't heard on your program. My big problem here is, why do we do these open hearings? Our intelligence community is laying out for the world its priorities, its thinking, and I know they say it's unclassified. We don't see China or Russia doing this. I've always been against these hearings. This should be done behind closed doors. I did like the fact that the hearing gave an opportunity for members of the Senate and the House to chastise the community for abusing its authority, for example, for abusing FISA. But I don't know why we're telling our enemies what our intelligence agencies are thinking.
Fred, nobody knows this stuff better than you. Let's just cut to the chase. In your opinion, your professional opinion, are Americans less safe today than we were on Joe Biden's first day in office?
There's no question we're considerably less safe because of the surge in hostilities from China. I think that the war in Ukraine broke out mostly because of President Biden's incompetence. Iran is close to a nuclear weapon. And it's interesting how this intelligence report waffled on the origins of the COVID virus, and it waffled on whether Iran is making a nuclear weapon. So in that regard, I didn't find it very useful.
Good point. Let's go to Ukraine. The Daily Brief with this headline that the Russian army is basically bombing Ukrainian infrastructure. We know what's gone on over the last, basically the 3 months of winter, but it doesn't seem like there's a plan in place. The plan just seems like to terrify the citizens of Ukraine. Is that how you see it as well?
I think so. Russia's starting to use hypersonic missiles, which are very difficult to shoot down. They're going to do a lot of damage, but Russia's not going to have a lot of them. They're extremely expensive. The intelligence report did have an interesting way of looking at this. They said that this is going to be likely over several years a grinding war of attrition, and Russia will stick with it, but does not have the weapons to push much forward. Well, what worries me, if that's correct, that's bad news for Ukraine, because I don't think Ukraine can survive years of a grinding war of attrition.
What does a grinding war of attrition mean? We saw what Russia did when they invaded Afghanistan in the 1980s. The war lasted 11 years. Could it go that long? Are we talking about that sort of pace?
Well, I think they're talking about several years, but I think Russia can hold out for a grinding war of attrition. Now, Ukraine would have to have a substantial amount of weapons from the West, but look, Ukraine can't sustain the military losses that they're achieving right now, and that's what worries me.
Fred, want to get your reaction to this Politico headline yesterday, and there have been a number of headlines like this over the past couple weeks. This headline, short and sweet: who blew up Nordstream? Talking about the Nordstream pipeline. Since the day of the attack, 4 states, Russia, the U.S., Ukraine, and the UK, have been publicly blamed for the explosions with varying degrees of evidence. In your opinion, who took the Nordstream pipeline out?
Well, I think we took it out. I think we had the Ukrainians do it. And I've been saying that. I think I said it on this program months ago. I didn't think Biden had the guts to have the U.S. do it, because he'd have to report it to Congress. It would be discovered. But this required very advanced diving skills, extremely sophisticated equipment. It's so deep, divers have to breathe a special mixture of air and helium, and they have to decompress over a long period of time. This took a lot of money and experience. I don't think Ukraine did this alone. My guess is that the U.S. assisted them and may have put Ukraine up to it.
Wow. So just to be clear, you think the U.S. sanctioned the destruction of the Nord Stream pipeline. I have that right?
I think we wanted a plausible deniability. I don't have any evidence of this, but I don't buy that Ukraine did this on its own.
Fred Fleitz, appreciate you being with us and breaking that down. Thank you. Have a good weekend, Fred.
Good to be here.